All right, welcome into Taco Bowler Gaming. My name is Taco Bowler. Today we are beginning a new campaign in a new grand strategy game. At least I'm calling this a grand strategy game. This is from, I believe, the company Grand Tactician in communication with Lionheart Filmworks, called The Civil War. Grand Tactician: The Civil War. This is one I've recently bought. I've watched a bunch of people play it. But I think it's similar to the Paradox games in that you kind of have to play it for a little bit, take some lumps, and grow. So we'll be playing on a little bit easier difficulty in hopes that starts things. There is a tutorial. The tutorial has like 132 different things it brings you through. Without ever going, more than like 2 months into the campaign. So a lot of things that are pretty much like that. But we're going to start here. It's got multiple starting dates, similar to EU4 of where you can start. We have spring of 1861, which is the beginning. Summer of 1861 is right after the war breaks out, and then spring of 1862, spring of 1863, spring of 1864 as battles are continuing to happen. We're going to be playing spring of 1861 as per most of the things. When you select a nation, you have the difficulty goes on the other side. I am going to play as the Union, and we will move the difficulty from very easy to easy. That's kind of where I've got it in my test games, and where I'm comfortable right now. I want to leave it there. The aggressiveness is a difficulty setting. Let me see if I can get the tooltip to come back up. It adjusts the AI behavior regarding recruitment activity as well as probabilities of invasion and defensive operations. In my first games, I have it set to low, and they're way more aggressive than I wanted. I'll probably keep it at low, just because I feel like having it at the lowest, calm here is too easy. But yeah, I was shocked at how quickly they were building up troops and things, so we shall see how this all goes. Here you have policies, the historic policies: Kansas, Free State, Industrialization, and Indian Wars. Alternatively, you can just set it up to be kind of like, you can select your own. Obviously, I don't know very much how any of these go that well. I will always select the Kansas one for both sides, as I kind of hope to have Kansas, my home state, on my side, and if I'm going to affect that, I certainly will. Industrialization is one that's for sure one that you want on both sides, so I've heard. And for me and the Union, it's one of three. It's breadbasket, security measures, or Union Pacific Railroad. I've gone... I've gone to... I did security measures, I think, last time, which allows the Confederacy to start with fewer weapons. I don't think that's actually going to be a problem for me right now. This would be a very, very good one. I've had some supply issues. I might try that one. The credit rating is also something that's really important in my game, just to try and ensure that goes well, but for now, I think I can affect it other ways. So we're going to go breadbasket this time, and I'm going to see how that works. I am not good at the game by any stretch of the imagination, so this is definitely a let's try still, and so kind of get a sense of how long a episode should be. A lot of people who play this game on YouTube cut things out. I think in future runs I might cut a few things out here and there, but for now, we'll leave it on here. Fog of War, order delays is something that's unique to this game as opposed to other Civil War games, and that is exactly what it sounds like. It's a delay. When you give the order, it comes out of the capital if it's on the campaign screen, or it comes out of the general in the army, and then it goes down the chain of command to arrive at the place, so it gives some amount of time between when the order is given and when an actual thing goes. I think it's good for realism. Fog of War is exactly what it normally would be. The Readiness System is something I'm going to keep on for now. That means that armies have to have a certain amount of readiness before they can enter into the territory that originally belongs to the enemy. Even if you've got control of that area, that doesn't matter. I feel it should, but that doesn't matter. Feuds, right now we have that off. That is a system. Let's turn that on here. It says commanders may have feuds with other commanders, creating friction in the chain of command. Feuding commanders may deliberately delay carrying out orders or just do something else. I am going to turn on auto manage, but I'm going to turn it off for a lot of things when we get into there, because I'm not overly sure that I can actually do that. You know, I can turn it on if I haven't done that. Turn it on here. So in the spring of 1861, the only units we have with any real army is Fort Sumter, Fort Jefferson and Taylor down here in Florida, and then Fort Pickens in Alabama, and there's nothing that the Confederates have yet. As we begin the campaign, you'll see the alt history from the policies that we've selected. So you see the Kansas bleeding Kansas stuff. Excuse me. But you see the bleeding Kansas stuff there, and then it should start raising up with additional things. And obviously, historically, Kansas was indeed a free state after a period of a mini civil war within Kansas called Bleeding Kansas. That produces the greatly known John Brown, who I'm not related to, but certainly there. It comes out of Kansas. But yeah, so we'll load up here. It's going to have a video. I'm going to skip the video. If you really want to see the video, comment below and I'll release just the video or something like that. But it's mostly quoting the leaders of the places. I assume there's a video at each point in the campaign. One of these days I'll actually watch those videos. But they're really long. At least this first one was really long. But they call them chapters in the campaign, as various moments, various places within the campaign here. Have I turned off the video? I guess I've turned off the videos. So, no video there. That's okay. And here we see the map. Now, if you are getting the game, the tutorial kind of explains this, but you move the mouse around, you can actually twist the map. But it was extremely disorienting to me, so I turned it off for the mouse. I've also got zoom and things set to where I can control everything moving around here with this keystroke here. But you can see as you zoom in, you can zoom in and all of a sudden things change. But we have a fort here in the Florida Panhandle, which has 210 garrisoned troops and not that many, facing off against the Florida State Militia. There's no one harassing the army down here, but you can see the garrison's strong there. And then of course Fort Sumter, pretty famous, facing off against the South Carolina State Militia under General Beauregard. But there are several other fortifications, and so these will be filled with Confederates when we arrive there. But there's also some other fortifications up here. We see Union troops, garrison, 100, but some here in North Carolina, and then several here in Virginia. And these will kind of be trapped there, and there's nothing you can do about that. You can't move anyone before the war breaks out. You can recruit to them if you want, but you can't move them. You can see all these forts up here on the East Coast as we get up into Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and things, and they all have the same general thing, that 100 men. Let's get all states here. There are 34 forts, and they all have basically one artillery division, more or less. And I think for a lot of them, they're not really needed. I've seen some games where people do invade all the way up here, but for the most part, not really needed unless England joins the war. One of the things that can happen is that the foreign people can come in and intervene on the side of the Confederacy for the most part. The Union just pretty much keeps them away. So having some of those forts up there would protect against that, but I think there are other ways to protect against that. Here's Kansas over here. And for now, we have federal troops, but these are, I believe, native armies. Oh no, this is a garrison. But most of those garrisons, I think, would wind up joining the Confederacy. This is called the Indian Territory because it was not Oklahoma yet. Kansas, in fact, joins in 1861, so I don't think this is technically a state yet at the start of the game, but they don't play with that mechanic. In February of 1861, what you have is the first 7 states have seceded. That was South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, Louisiana, and Texas, not necessarily in that order. The border states have not yet done anything. That would be Arkansas, Missouri, Tennessee, Kentucky, North Carolina, Virginia, which includes West Virginia at this point in time, Maryland, and Delaware. Obviously, historically, Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Arkansas seceded, and I think Indian Territory stayed neutral, or various ones joined various sides. And then partway through the war, West Virginia will secede from Virginia and rejoin the Union. Kentucky and Missouri stayed in the Union historically, but were kind of neutral. They didn't want to take part in the war for the majority of it. Every game I've played has had both of them secede. I'm going to try to keep them in it. I think that I took this, the Militia Act, which called for volunteers and called for an army, and that started the war proper, and that was something that the state didn't like, and so that's what causes Missouri and Kentucky to secede, because Kentucky has 60% support. You can see up there in the right hand side over here. Kentucky has 60% support. Tennessee is 35%. Missouri has 60% support for me. Maryland is 75%. Maryland, I think, is hard coded not to leave. Places like Ohio and things in the 80s. And so that's what I'm trying to do, is try and hold off in passing that until the South starts the war. I think if the South starts the war, then we have that. Old Dominion, that's not great. Southern Industrialization, arms agents, that's the best possible policies I think they could take, which is a problem for me, but oh well, we'll deal with that another time. For policies, you have these starting policies, and then you have some of this stuff here. And so you have things to get more money, things to get more food. What does this actually do? Permits the financing of further agricultural projects and the development of new farms and plantations. Okay. So you have, you have funding, you have agriculture, you have industry, you have military, and you have diplomacy, and they start off with these policies. The red is policies, the blue lines are acts. You can have up to 10 active policies at any one time. You can have unlimited acts, but you have to research the policy to get to the act. So if there's an act you want, like say, I liked this one down here, the Confiscation Act, which lets me confiscate Southern property that's needed for the war effort. Increases Confederate support in slave states by +3 years, which isn't great, but was something that I could get more money for. I had to pass this, and then I could work on that. There's also things like the Tariff Act, which would get tariff, and then just printing money. Whereas Breadbasket doesn't give anything until you get to 2, and then you can have northern routes. If it's in between either one, we'll get you that particular act. The exception is these. These can be done as a Confederacy. They can be done immediately. or as the union, they can be done after Lincoln's inauguration on March 1st, maybe March 3rd. But other than that, you have that here. The other thing that these policies do is that they unlock these subsidies. So I'm going to actually move this over. I think I don't need it yet. It may increase speed of research, but oh well. So these subsidy fundings, which actually I should probably look at that first. But the subsidy fundings are capped out at a certain amount. This is, I think, an annual amount every year. So like I can go 5 million right now, but if I were to grab a funding policy, one of the things that this first policy would do would be to allow me to increase the annual economic subsidies. The economic subsidies do a few things, but the main thing they do is that they fund this projects screen. So for instance, if I wanted to buy some British rifles, I need diplomacy subsidy funding, and I need 5 million of it, I think it said. And then I can spend that 5 million of diplomacy subsidy on buying some British rifles, and then I would have, or unlocking that, and then I would have the opportunity to buy those rifles. If I wanted farm mechanician, what that would do, it requires 2.5 million in farming, in agriculture funding. And so you fund all that. I don't know what this particular project actually does. Is there any way to tell that? I don't think so. But basically, you spend your funding here, and then you can unlock things. So one thing that I would say that I'm going to try and do this time is kind of look ahead and see, okay, well, what do I actually want? Notable that the economy funding here to improve my credit rating by 1 would be really, really nice to do. So having some of that would be definitely something to look at. For the most part, I think you probably want to upgrade all of these immediately. The diplomacy side of things, I don't know. As a union, you want to avoid at all costs the French or British getting involved, but I think there's other ways that you could do that. The main diplomacy thing would be trying to get some of these, but they're really expensive stuff. So I don't think I'm going to fund the diplomacy policies that much. And I'll try to get it other ways. I'm going to put it at none and see if that changes anything with that. What were the politics? So administration reform. Like, I really would like to know what they do. But I don't know. I assume some of these are pretty good. They look like they probably are pretty good. Yeah, I might go ahead and do that. So right now we have a surplus of $182 million per year, or I think maybe even per month. That's not going to change. That's not going to continue. I think it's per year. That's definitely not going to continue as we go along, but that's kind of where I'm at. We're going to max out those, and we're not going to do anything with diplomacy. See if that changes anything or affects anything. And then, let's see, the industrialization. I don't really think that that's needed first. I think I'm going to go agriculture and industry first. So again, similar to, well, I guess similar to not much of anything in Paradox games. 32.4 days on one. If I were doing two, this gets increased to 69.5 days. So about the same. It's a little bit longer than one at a time. But I would have the benefits of this for 32 days. So you really want to do just one at a time. Up here is the national morale. You win the game by reducing the enemy's national morale to below 25. And there's multiple ways to get national morale down. But we'll worry about that here. We have loyal states that'll change as we go along. Men fielded, the Navy tonnage, and all of that stuff. All of that is different. Yeah. So one thing I did last time that I think was good was I started building things along here. I think that's a good idea to do again. So I'm going to pre-build ahead of the war a hospital here. Can I? There we go. So trying to build a hospital relatively close. Did that actually work? I don't think it worked. There we go, hospital constructed. In a place that I know is going to have a fair bit of conflict. A news agency helps with intelligence. I don't think I really need to do that one though. Now, the other thing I may do is the prison camp. I think I'm gonna try to place a prison camp. We'll place it in Pennsylvania. Well, we want to put it in Pennsylvania. Put it around Newark. That'll punish them enough. Because I've been capturing, in my other game, I've been capturing a lot of people. And I really don't want them getting back on the field. I think that's happening a lot there. We'll see if that winds up mattering. And then the other one is I wanted to build a hospital out west somewhere too. Since that has involved a fair amount of fighting as well, we could do that around Springfield, Illinois. Just in case we wind up losing St. Louis. Alright, we do have a farm here, so let's build that hospital around the farm. And basically the hospital kind of like is just an area where we have that increased men coming back from where they were. So this is also a place where you can spend some of the subsidy funding you have to I don't know if that's build or improve. But yeah, we have that there. And then the railroads, I guess you could improve that railroad to get a little more carrying capacity on it, but for the most part, it's just a matter of like who controls which railroad and where they are. So this is, probably the only one right now is controlled by anyone. You can get on a railroad from Columbia to Raleigh, except that would take you into enemy territory right there. So that's kind of what that looks like. There's a couple of railroads that I really want to control, particularly this one here. I'd like to try and control early on as it goes from kind of Washington into the Ohio territory. I kind of want that one, but we'll get there. This down here is speeds. And so we're going to go ahead and accelerate time and have that go for a little bit of time here. So we just get to the war. In most campaigns, I would not show this. I would just kind of cut until the war starts. But for this first one, we're going to go ahead and show some of that. So you have this here. Texas is voting to secede, all that stuff, yada, yada, yada. There's basically not a ton you can really do during this time until the South decides it's a good time to attack. So you just kind of sit and wait for things to happen. The big news stuff and the Confederacy seizing U.S. property, which that was the arms deal. And yeah, we've issued bonds, which creates debt, and that's primarily because of the increased subsidies we have and the buildings we had, but we should get that back and start going down. I should mention that why is my national morale down to 90 now? Okay. The credit rating here, which is now at A+, which is relatively low. If it gets below B, then Congress does not allow further construction to happen. So you want to keep that credit rating up above B, but it's got several rankings before it falls below B. I've got it set to keep on pause for during the war, and that's leading me to a problem. And the credit rating's going back up to A+ now. I mean, it'll be down a little bit here. We do have dispatches up here. You can kind of read those, an economy report, an intelligence report, etc. Yeah, some of these are talking about the forts situation down south, but kind of is what it is. But yeah, the monthly economy support, kind of there. Our economy lacks iron, wool, coffee, and no overproductions are noticed, so that would be something that I could look at if I really knew how to do that. Yeah, Texas joining, got it, thanks. And you can read over here the specifics of what it's talking about there. You know, for instance, new territories are organized. In other news, the Union has reorganized the territories of the West. The Dakota territory has been organized from the Nebraska territory, etc., etc. So you can look at that if you're playing the game. But that left side kind of does a good job of summarizing everything here. So the Confederates have gone for Militia Act number 1 immediately, so they have 12-month contract. The Provisional Army has been formed, and the states are recruiting regiments. The Confederacy has a weirder army. It's based off the Union Army, but it also has these state guards that are raised in these states. So they are able to kind of run around a little bit more. Lincoln inaugurated the 16th president. A new cabinet is headed here. Buchanan leaves the office. Famously, I believe it was Buchanan who said that if you are as happy a man to be entering the office of the president as I am to be leaving it, you are a happy man indeed. Virginia's loyalty to the Union is questioned. Rumors are increasing for secession. Further states are threatening to leave the Union. Of course, that was one of their policies. The Old Dominion ensures that Virginia leaves and that the capital moves to Richmond. Yeah, the Confederate Army is established. Davis is authorized to call up 100,000 men. By game, they got there quick. Quicker than I had hoped. But I'm trying to be similar to Lincoln IRL and kind of just wait things out here. So yeah, now we have the Union buys back bonds, which lowers our debt to $64 million. And you can see now we're at AA+. I think AAA+ is the furthest you can go, the highest you can go. So you can see here that this pie graph is kind of halfway or 2/3 full. We have 11 more days on that. I could start the Militia Act right now, but in my experience, the Militia Act is one of the ways to trigger the actual war happening. There's no time that passes while I'm on a menu. Yeah, that's one of the ways to trigger the actual war happening, and I'm trying to wait it out, see if I can get something like Fort Sumter being attacked, which is what actually started the war, if that doesn't help to keep Kentucky and Missouri in the war, because although that land isn't too much, it's at least something. Construction's completed. Good. Good. Do I want any other construction right now? It wouldn't hurt to put one in Ohio. Put one around Columbus. Maybe in southern Columbus. Put one there. There's no buildings that would affect, no, that would affect state support. I don't think so. Alright, so Breadbasket Policy 1 is enacted, more support for union farmers to receive more subsidies. Europeans are eager to purchase more surplus crops, and more pioneers move west. That's excellent stuff for us. So now, the finances, the agriculture one, I keep it very high, but it just increases to $5 million a year. And so we have a better chance to use some policies. Now we could go directly down to Breadbasket 2 to further that, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to come over to Industrialization next, I think. I don't auto-manage that. But let's go to the military and make sure, if I can, I want to auto-manage officers. Doesn't look like there's an auto-manage button, but I do want to auto-manage the purchase of weapons. That's certainly something there. But I think I'm going to go ahead and call this episode here. I know not a lot has happened today. Depending on things, I may release another video today. I may just wind up releasing the next one on Thursday. Depends on how much I can get recorded here in time, but I hope that you are excited for this new series, for this new game. It's one that I think is very, very promising for me. It's Hearts of Iron with just the American Civil War, and then with kind of a combination between Hearts of Iron and EU4 with this kind of tactical map. But then when you get into or campaign map, but when you get the armies together, you don't just have a green bubble to look at. It's you actually fight the battle Total War style. So it's one that I think is certainly a game that's worth looking at, particularly on the channel. But I've been talking about gaming here, and I hope you've enjoyed. If you did, please do like, please comment, please do subscribe down below. All that good stuff really does help me out. I'll see you next time.